Panda. Panda. Panda, 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 panda. I'm continuing my series on the philosophy of Kung Fu Panda. No, I'm joking, it's not a series. I made the first Kung Fu Panda philosophy vid a couple of years back, and now I'm tackling the philosophy of Kung Fu Panda 2, because these films are just so damn good. If you haven't watched my video on the philosophy of Kung Fu Panda 1, go watch it after this, or before, because some themes in the second one are similar, some have been built upon from the first one. The original Kung Fu Panda has general themes of finding one's identity, realizing destiny, finding one's passion, self-belief, and of course, paradoxes in space-time and the fourth dimension, obviously. The second film has a different vibe. It's more emotional than the first. It does this by going deeper into identity, and this is the first key theme, exploring identity through the means of personal history. The film looks at the personal histories of both Po and Shen, how their experiences shape their characters, but also how they can choose if they allow their history to shape who they are. The second large focus of the film is on inner peace, or rather peace within oneself. The film pretty much starts with a showing of inner peace, with Shifu having mastered it and playing around with a droplet of water. It's interesting that water droplets are used to show peace. They could symbolize the oneness of being in peace with all things. Oneness is the idea that everything is one, that everything is connected, and everything is made of the same stuff. This actually has scientific truth to it. All matter in the universe is made up of different quantities and combinations of just up to 12 elementary particles. Oneness is a notion that everything is connected, that everything is one, that everything in the universe, including ourselves, are all part of a single system, and we're all made of the same stuff. This is an idea I personally love. It makes a lot of sense when we look at science. Everything which makes up all matter in the universe is comprised of no more than 12 elementary particles like electrons and quarks. Different quantities and combinations of these particles make up all matter in the universe. The same stuff that makes up you and me also makes up trees, earth, air, the moon, the sun, all of the stars in existence. We're all more similar than we are different, and all differences are just subtle variations in how particles combine. The matter which comprises you was once part of humongous stars, burning for billions of years in the almost never-ending stratosphere of space. And if string theory is correct, and every one of these particles is made up of vibrating strings of energy, then everything is literally made up of exactly the same stuff. The variation in matter, worlds, stars, and us comes from just how those strings of energy vibrate, if string theory is true. It's like all books written in English are just different variations and quantities of just 26 different letters. But anyway, gone off on a bit of a tangent there. Along with identity, personal history, and inner peace, the other huge focus of the film is the idea of duality. If oneness is the idea of one, that all things are one, with the symbol of one, then duality has the symbol two. Duality is the idea of two opposing sides, two extremes on two opposite ends of a spectrum, like good and evil, pleasure and pain, light and dark. One side of a duality defines the other. If only one side existed, it would not be a duality, because it has no opposite. Either side can only be defined against the other. I can use an example here. Years ago, I heard of a theory that the Y chromosome may be a mutation of the X. Truth be told, I never actually found out if the theory had been proven or disproven, and I couldn't find any emphatic answer on it when I went searching. But it provides an interesting example of the nature of duality. The X and Y are sex chromosomes. Women's chromosomes are XX, and men's are XY, making the Y chromosome an exclusively male chromosome, meaning females don't have it. The theory was that the Y chromosome mutated from the X, which might sound unremarkable to begin with, but it has some very interesting implications. If the Y chromosome mutated from the X, it would mean males mutated from females, and females came first, existing before males. Male and female need to connect and copulate in order to reproduce. And just as a note here, I'm not only talking about humans. This includes almost all organisms that require two opposite gender members of the same species to propagate. But if the Y did mutate from the X, it would mean that the females which existed first would have been self-replicating, like single-celled organisms, and would not have needed a species with opposite or interlocking sex characteristics to procreate. If this was the case, before the appearance of the Y chromosome, the female would not have been female. They would have had no gender, because there was nothing else to define their gender against. They would have been genderless organisms. This is the essence of duality. Two sides of an extreme which can only be defined against each other. Without one, the definition of the other is not possible. It's like pleasure and pain. The more pleasure you open yourself up to, the more potential pain you open yourself up to as well on the other side. We can see duality as a scale. To be too far on one side causes imbalance. For example, no one is completely good and no one is completely evil. Balance exists between the two, and in that balance, that's where peace can be found, as Po will show us shortly. KFP2 has massive themes of duality, one of which I've already mentioned, peace and war. Po obviously wants peace. He's a good guy. Shen wants war. He's a bad guy. This is also the duality of good and evil, which is clear cut in Kung Fu Panda. It kinda has to be because it's mainly an animated kids film, with big kids like us loving it and trying to find hidden meaning with our adult brains. The difference between good and evil isn't so clear-cut in real life. Take Game of Thrones, for example. Obviously it's not real life, but it's far more realistic in terms of actual human character because so many main characters have both good and evil in them. Who were you rooting for in Season 2 at the Battle of the Blackwater, Stannis or the Lannisters? Jaime Lannister is a prime example of the blur between good and evil. He pushed Bran out of a window, killed Ned's men, and fathered the most horrible bastard the world has ever seen. But he also loves and protects his brother, and he's shown to have a soft spot for Brienne and keeps her out of harm's way. Kung Fu Panda 2 is full of dualities. Good and evil, peace and war, forgiveness and revenge, calmness and anger, love and hate, old and new. Po and Shen are always the opposing sides of each duality. They are duality within themselves. Po is good, peaceful, forgiving, calm and loving. Shen is evil, hateful, revengeful and angry. The ultimate symbol of duality is one we all know, the Yin and Yang, which comes from the Chinese philosophy of Taoism. The Yin and Yang represent any kind of duality. For our purposes, we use the examples of order and chaos. The Yin represents the dark, and Yang represents the light. The Yin within the Yang is a chaos within the order, and the Yang within the Yin is order within the chaos. The two balance each other out, and peace is found in equilibrium within balance. KFP 2 shows this plainly when the soothsayer prophesies Shen will be defeated by a warrior of black and white. Of course, Po is literally black and white, but it echoes the idea of duality and balance, and is shown most obviously at the end. Po literally turns into a yin and yang, showing Shen the error of his ways, after Po has found peace. The film marries up the themes of identity, personal history, duality and balance beautifully. It focuses on the inner peace of the protagonist and the antagonist. Both Po and Shen are searching for peace, whether they know it or not, and they're both searching for personal meaning they will find for themselves through their individual histories. The film outlines the parentage of both characters, neither one having a happy story. However, Shen's unhappiness was a result of his own actions, whereas Po's unhappiness wasn't. Shen knows his past and clings to it, holding on to the feelings of abandonment and disowning from his parents, despite it being from his own action, and then using that as his motivation for revenge and getting back what is rightfully his. Soothsayer knows his downfalls and the dangers in chasing revenge when she says this:
"The cup you choose to fill has no bottom."
This is pure wisdom. Revenge, anger and rage because of things past are dangerous in that they can consume a person. When is enough enough? Will you ever have any kind of peace if you are never satisfied with the outcome and keep chasing revenge or holding on to anger for things past? Soothsayer said this because she knew Shen would never find peace if he continued on his path. Even until the end, he absolutely refuses to let the past go and it kills him. This is the difference between Shen and Po. Po finds peace. He finds it through realizing and understanding his past, and then through letting go of past negativity and realizing he doesn't have to let it affect the person or panda he is today. Shen's clinging to the past maintains his rage, and his rage blinds him. Po's letting go of the past allows him to find some form of peace, which allows him to be calm. Shen is baffled as to how Po found peace, as to how Po managed to forgive him and let the past go. It's something that Shen cannot even imagine doing, and his focus on the past is what leads to his downfall. This echoes the first Kung Fu Panda film when Oogway said this:
"Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That is why it is called the present."
That the importance of life, in terms of peace and happiness, lies in living in the present moment, without dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. The film continues with the notions of the fourth dimension and destiny which are present in the first one, this time with the soothsayer and her prophecies. This time round, the prophecies are heard by the bad guys, not by the good guys like in the first film. Just like the first film, where Oogway's prophecy kicked off the chain of events that led to Tai Lung's return and Po becoming the Dragon Warrior. If you haven't watched the first Kung Fu Panda philosophy vid, go watch it now. This film has Soothsayer's visions leading to the catalytic event, which was Shen killing all the pandas and Po's mother in the process. Every vision the Soothsayer has comes true, just like Oogway's visions came true, echoing the idea of the fourth dimension, that all events in time are fixed and destiny exists. No matter what Shen does, he cannot stop his destiny of being defeated by a warrior of black and white, by a warrior of balanced duality who found peace in the middle of that balance, between love-hate, peace and war, order and chaos. I'm not gonna lie, when I first watched this film, I had high expectations. I loved the first one so much that I was expecting this one to blow me away. I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was as good as the first one. But after watching it again and again and again, I realised how much depth it actually has and how poignant it is in its emotions, its portrayal of love, hate, past, future, revenge, and of course peace. This is a brilliant film, and soon enough, I would have watched Kung Fu Panda 3 enough times to see where all the philosophy there lies. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed listening to my philosophy as much as I enjoyed making it. If you can, please, please, please hit subscribe. I need to reach 1,000 subscribers so I can monetize my channel. If I can monetize my channel, I can bring you guys more content. I'd love to bring you more content. So if you can, please, please hit subscribe. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.